Right. Right. So, as we come to the end of our time here, A, in the bush, B, on safari, and C, just at Noton's, we just thought we'd do a quick little things I sort of wish I'd known beforehand kind of video. Things I wish I knew. Obviously, for myself and Emma, we came last year. We did a video series on that. And obviously, I have previous experience through other work, but for my parents, it's been about 10, 15 years since their last safari experience. So I thought it'd be a good idea if you are looking for your first time safari and you are considering maybe coming to the Kruger or self-driving. Just a few things, I guess, from your perspective, things you wish you'd known beforehand. Obviously, is there anything in particular, like when we got to the Kruger or in the Kruger, that was particularly maybe eye-opening?
I think for me that we had the big advantage of your knowledge. I think if you're coming as a first-time visitor on safari, it would pay to do a bit of research beforehand in terms of what you expect to see, what you want to see, and how best to see it. I think if you come cold without prep and without a bit of research, you'd probably be a bit disappointed. And I think going into the Kruger, there's obviously a popular place, lots of people, lots of cars, lots of traffic, and lots of wildlife. Amazing place. But so I would say do a bit of research before you come.
Definitely. I think we would have missed if it was just the two of us without a guide. Obviously we had Tom. We would have missed a lot of things in the bush. I have to say it was good going off the side roads, but you can also see a lot on the main roads. So that was good. There's more cars, people stopping, so you can then see some of the big sightings when you stop at the big roadblocks with cars parked in.
Yeah.
Can get a bit crazy. You've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, the protocols, knowing how to behave. If you're self-driving, there are certain rules of the road, and you could get it wrong very quickly, and of course the animals are not playing by a particular script, particularly elephants, as we saw, and that can go horribly wrong. So
how to behave with animals as well.
I think there's a balance, isn't there, doing the self-drive thing versus
keeping it low cost. Like,
yeah.
if you do self-drive, obviously
it
is low cost.
Versus coming to somewhere amazing like Noton's and then putting yourself in the hands of a professional guide who obviously increase your probability of seeing what you want to see. They can go off track and off road. They're authorised to do that.
Yeah, you get closer that way.
And you're relaxed in that sense. But we benefited from having your knowledge and expertise. Not everybody's going to have that, but if you're thinking of how to do it, for me, because we did it, albeit 10 years ago now, at a lodge like this and had the benefit of a professional guide. We've had you on this occasion, and then we've been at Knowlton's where for the last few days we've been out with a professional guide again, and it is, there's a difference, there's a big difference. So
I mean, if you're keeping it low cost and doing self-drive, then take one paid drive with a guide.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, at the Kruger camps, obviously, if you are looking at booking the self-drive, the accommodation is about, easily a quarter of the price of this.
Yeah.
So then maybe you look at saving up that little bit extra money that you have left over for the self-catered accommodation at the Kruger, and you spend that on going out on their morning and evening drives. Yeah. But be warned, obviously, people know that, people do that, so they are quite busy. So make sure when you, either in advance of your booking, so go through an agent when you're booking the Kruger stuff, because if you go through Sandpark's website, it is a bit fiddly. Although the website's been updated, credit to them, it's much easier to then book your accommodation, and the experiences can be a bit fiddly. You can book through agents. I'm not sponsored, this video is not sponsored, but of course I've used safari.com quite a lot, and those guys in Helene, they've been awesome. And I think when you get to, if you haven't booked them in advance, when you get to your camps and you check in, do inquire at reception, what's the availability for the morning and evening drive. Probably do that initially, your first couple, so you get the experience from the guide, and then
you need a couple of those drives and give you an idea of how you're spotting and what you're looking for.
And you can't get lost, right? Because the roads
No, I think if you're smart and stay to the maps, and of course a good map is all part of that research. A good guidebook is part of that. I mean, we bought a fantastic guidebook. Side note, I mean, I hadn't appreciated just how many birds there are in Africa. I think everybody focuses on the mammals and the big five, etc. But that guidebook highlighted with 2 pages of mammals and 12 pages of birds. You suddenly realise the diversity. But again, you being a bit of a birder helped us see things that we would never have caught, and same when you're with a guide. So I guess going to the park on a self-drive, you got to know what you want to get out of it, understanding what the variations are between the parks. We stayed at Oliphants
That's
through
fair.
you, and then obviously Lower Sabi, two very different camps as you described, with different vibe, different culture, and you're going to see different things in different parts of the park. So again, part of that research theme is knowing where you want to stay, book in advance, as you say, use some kind of agent, or but don't leave it last minute. You've got to book months.
No,
months
if you want like
in
decent
advance.
accommodation.
One of the other things which is worth looking into and definitely doing is the scottles.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
bush
amazing.
brides. That's
The
something you
bush
didn't know
bride.
about. Hey?
Yeah, the bush bride.
The picnic sites, they all have scottles that you can, I say rent loosely. You just pay like, it varies per site, but I'm not sure if it should, but it varies per site.
Few euros.
It's like
equivalent
20 to
value.
40 rand,
Yeah.
depending on where you are. And
Cook your breakfast.
yeah.
But that needs planning again. You need to
Yeah,
prep
but
because you've got to
it's-
go and buy your stuff. You can't just turn up and take
No,
advantage
you
of a
need to
scottle
take
unless
a
you've
step with
bought
it.
the bits and pieces that you need. But it's knowing it's there and knowing those picnic sites have that facility and doing a bit of
Amazing.
prep to take that stuff with you means you can have an amazing bush fry up and in an amazing environment with fabulous views. So yeah, that was something we didn't realise was an option.
No.
So the scottle or the bush breakfast, if you like,
Yeah.
was a big plus, definitely. But again, we wouldn't have known that had you not guided
Had
us.
that experience. But
And,
that's worth
and
knowing.
also, I guess, again, looking at the research of things, knowing which picnic spots have restaurants as well. So like
Yeah.
Sokwan and Nkulu have picnic sites and restaurants
And
attached.
toilets. It might be
Most of them have toilets,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then things like Londozi and Timbavati,
Yeah.
they're just out and
Just
out
to
picnic
hide,
sites,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's
yeah.
just scottles out there,
Yeah.
and the guys who run it probably have a fridge with some cold drinks in. But aside from that, yeah, if you do your research, you'll work out which
Yeah.
has a shop and a restaurant and which has
Do it,
dedicated
it's
breakfast.
wonderful experience that.
I tell you that something else that's been surprising in a very pleasant way is just how digital all the banking is. So when
Yeah.
you go on holiday, you
Don't
tend
need
to
as much
focus. I
cash
need
as-
a wallet full of notes, local currency. You actually don't, and we haven't needed that much local currency. So yeah, it's good to have some rand in your pocket, but
good.
having an iPhone or an Android means you can pay digitally for pretty much everywhere and everything. So that's been a positive, and accounts like Revolut, and yes, there are others, give you that option, very flexible digital banking to pay very easily. So that surprised me in a good way,
Yeah.
which also meant we probably bought more cash than we needed, but there's
Better
other
safe
ways,
than sorry.
other
Yeah,
ways of
but you
spending
need
it.
the cash then when you get here.
And if you don't bring any, and you're in the Kruger, Skakusa has a bank, so you can always visit
Yeah.
Skakusa for that.
It's hot in the day, but you definitely need
Yeah,
layers,
True.
gloves,
Yeah.
and hats for the morning drives,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
that-
you can
yeah, I'd agree.
start to take your layers
Take
off.
lots of layers, and the morning drive in particular.
They are cold.
Be more
first
comfortable
thing.
for you because being cold early morning is no fun in that Jeep.
right. And then obviously now we've done the luxury experience. I think it makes you appreciate it a bit more, doesn't it? Once you've
Yeah.
been out there and you've tried to find things yourself, or the glimpses you've had when on the main roads, or of an animal 200-300 meters away, suddenly to get close to them is
It's
Yeah.
good to do it that way though, to do the self-drive first,
yeah.
and then you know what you haven't seen or what you want to
Yeah.
see, specifics, and they can hopefully, obviously there's no guarantees, show you those animals really close up.
Yeah, and I would say, come in with an open mind and not over focusing on I must see a
species.
leopard, I must see a lion or an elephant. I mean, yes, you're going to see with a balance of probability most of those animals, but just enjoy it because I mean the continent is extraordinary. The whole culture is something worth absorbing, and just being out there in the bush, whether it's self-drive or guided tour, is still a remarkable experience. So I would suggest don't come with a mindset we must see this, and this. Just you will get to see a variety of things, probably a bunch of things that you
It's
didn't know.
wildlife.
Yeah, it's the wilderness. It's the Africa bush, for goodness sake. Yeah, I mean, I think that was helped us take a little bit of the stress out of thinking we've only got so many days. I must see this, and this. We didn't need to, and as a result, I think we enjoyed it a lot more.
And if there are any questions that we haven't answered in this quick little video, please put them in the comments and I'll try and get back to you guys and reply as quickly as possible. But otherwise, I hope that's a little insight on things from a sort of more
Movies.
novice safari goer's point of view. I think some things that maybe me and Emma, who've done a few before, might overlook.